Hi, this is Kee Lock. You can ask me anything. I love to hear your perspective on biggest misconception people have about venture capital and what you wish more founders understood before pitching. Venture capital is a very highly misunderstood business. Many think that it is about spray and pray. Quite often than not, people misunderstood thinking that it is about venture capitalists taking disproportionate risks. Invest as many as possible. Law of large numbers says that if you invest enough, probably you eventually hit one unicorn. This is actually quite a wrong concept. In 2020 and 2021, Southeast Asia venture capital industry experienced a tremendous growth. Many venture capital firms were investing almost at one company per day. Vertex Venture Southeast Asia, even though we have almost 5 times bigger than most other firms, looking at 150 over 200 companies per month, we maintain the disciplined approach of investing one company per month. In reality, venture capital business is about being knowledgeable in your business, being thoughtful about what you're trying to invest, being rigorous in your due diligence, get a good understanding of what you're trying to invest in and the idea you're trying to back and the team that you're trying to work with in long term. For many founders, it's important to recognize that a good venture capital firm, after investing in the company, will work with the founders closely, handhold and work with them closely to develop the business faster and growing, reaching product market fit, and hopefully scalability and eventually profitability. Is it possible to pivot to VC, fintech, entrepreneurship role without relevant experience? What advice would you have for a mid-career pivot? Venture capital, VC, fintech, entrepreneurships are quite different things. It's difficult to generalize in these answers. Not everyone is suitable to be an entrepreneur. Furthermore, it's important to have the right idea, a right team to execute the right, build the right startups together. Anyway, I will narrow my focus answers to this venture capital. My advice to anybody who's looking to change a career, possibly for venture capital, is to firstly analyze and know yourself, what is your strengths and weaknesses, and then do enough analysis or research by attending conferences on perhaps studying, reading books or researching on the web or video or so on and so forth. Get a better understanding of what venture capital is all about. Thereafter, overlay what you learn to what you think is your strengths and weaknesses and what differentiate you, and then decide whether or not you are indeed suitable for this sector. If the conclusion is that you believe that you are suitable for this sector, the next most important and final thing is the timing. Timing is critical because when you change your career, it's critical because most venture capital firms will find whatever your experience previously is not relevant unless you are coming from, let's say, exactly that technical sector that they're investing in. So in most cases, if you do change your career halfway through, a lot of experience you have may not be considered relevant, and you may have to start from a lower position when you join a venture capital firm. What is the one thing you wanted to do in your professional life that you couldn't make it due to forces outside of your control? Example, internal politics, finances, government, etc., and is still bugging you till today. Well, I'm not sure I can think of any professional life experience, but certainly I can think of one when I was 18 years old, at the turn of adulthood, I suppose. For many of you not familiar, in the 70s, during that period of time when you serve the national service, essentially they will invite selected people to officer cadet school interview. And many of my friends and the cohorts were invited to CMPB, which is today's Dempsey area, Central Manpower Base, for the interview. And we obviously go for the interview. And one of the questions that was asked to all by all the interviewees of all of us is that why do you think that why do you want to be an officer? Why do you want to join the officer cadet school? Or why do you want to be an officer? And for me, I came from a Chinese school, from primary school and the secondary school, and then going through that, I'm very much influenced by the Chinese idiom of 精忠报国, basically serving the country, serving the people with loyalty and with pride. So that very much influenced my thought process. It's an honor to serve the country and the honor to do your very best. So therefore, naturally, my honest answer was that since national service is something that we all have to do, and since officer is the highest possible rank for all of us, I definitely like to be volunteered to be an officer. Well, I guess this is not the answers they were looking for. And then, of course, after the interview, many of my other student cohort, interestingly, give the answers that please do not consider me for officer, and all of them were selected to be officer cadet school. And that's not the end of the story. My father passed away when I was 19 years old, and I always aspire to go out overseas to study and to see the world, to see how other countries and how other people work and what are the competition out there. And unfortunately, I need a scholarship, and all the interview questions that I was faced essentially was that you are a basketball captain, you are very physically very fit. How come you never volunteered to be an officer? Even though my answer was that I did, and they did not chosen me, and I don't think anyone ever believed my answers. If you have finite resources, how do you propel a startup to develop, maximize potential and scalability? When do you decide to quit the startup? I guess focus on product market fit. You must, in very short period of time, demonstrate that you have repeatable customer, address the market need, and then able to demonstrate that there are enough customers prepared to buy and pay for your services. And just give two examples. One is a failure, one is a success. The first company was one of the very few first company I invested called Foreign System. This is a company initially known as Standard Barbara Lab, started at Standard Barbara, California. That was the dawn on personal computer revolution. Many of you probably were not born then. Personal computer at the point in time was 8086 CPU, relatively archaic and relatively inefficient, essentially just a keyboard on the screen. And this bunch of engineers came out with this idea that if we can provide a sound card, a sound chip into the personal computer, generating audio, allow people to record and play back, that would be a fantastic idea. And it was a tremendous idea, and unfortunately, at that point in time, personal computer capability was not there. Even though the idea was good, they tried their very best to execute. They eventually were not successful. But of course, many of us in Singapore, we all remember this company called Creative Labs, which came many years later. By then, personal computer's CPU power was much better, and they were able to capture the market and became quite successful thereafter. That's the first example. Second example is IGG. This is a mobile gaming company now listed in Hong Kong. When the first company that we funded, initially, the idea was building a gaming called MMORPG game, massive multiplayer online role-playing game. Essentially, it's a fighting game online in internet. And they were able to demonstrate initial tractions, but unfortunately, Chinese government regulated the market heavily, and so they suffer quite a bit of setback. And we spent quite a bit of time convincing the founder to recognize that the business had changed. And fortunately, the founder re-examined the market opportunity and decided to pivot the business to RPG game for Facebook platform. That early day of Facebook, a lot of users, besides messaging to their friends, they also play some games while they're waiting for their friends to answer. So that became very successful, quickly scale up to a large number, especially even though they retrenched almost half of the staff and become profitable very quickly. And this time around, the founders are more alert and spend a bit more time and more thoughtful about the market opportunities, and decided that Facebook game may be limiting their growth opportunity, and pivot further into mobile platform, and that allowed them to grow even further and faster, and that leads them to take the company public in Hong Kong. And today, I think the company is about 1 billion in market cap, still listed in Hong Kong. To answer a question about when to give up, I guess it's all about whether or not you can pivot to the right business, and whether you still have enough capital to do that. If not, you probably will have to quit this startup and perhaps hopefully restart with a new idea with a new bunch of other investors in the future. How do great leaders scale their team? Great question. I guess great leaders always hire smarter people than themselves, focus on diversity of ideas and strengths, recognizing how best to utilize each other's capability, and also constantly trying to look for opportunity to help others to improve their weaknesses whenever possible. And a great leader always have a clear direction, able to mobilize his team on the idea of the direction that they are trying to get to. And most important of all, great leader always build a purpose-driven culture and transcend the founders and leaders and build a strong performance culture. What are the challenging conversations or actions taken to change founders out of management as they no longer right for the roles? This is always a difficult conversation. Some founders are better in learning and relearning and adapting and grow the company over time. Some are just not able to do that. So for those founders are able to grow and adapt, generally the company will grow with them. For those unable to do this, the company will be limited by their inability to grow. So therefore, at that point in time, we will usually have a very much open conversation with the founder in a respectful manner, and to point out the company needs a change in the leadership to further strengthen its capability. Some founders take it well and will work with us closely to make this transition. Unfortunately, certain founders will take it personally, find that we are, may even accuse us of abandoning them. And in those cases, the conversation will become rather difficult and sometimes at times even ugly. So, as a general rule, we will try to educate founders, whenever possible, about the learning and relearning requirement and the ability to adapt and grow with the company, and the requirement that at some point in time they need to recognize that they no longer is most suitable to lead the company. At that point in time, they should be the one to volunteer to find a more suitable candidate to take over and run the business.